Hi there, and welcome to Legendary Resistance. Go ahead and grab a seat, grab a drink, and let's tell a story together. So, last time we were with the party at a house of ill repute, a house of pleasure. Really depends on your personal point of view. They had followed the trail of a man named Gamon Devar, who is a scion from the powerful Clan Devar, one of the two families that runs the city of Althandis, where they are currently based. The party currently is looking for evidence that Gamon is smuggling stolen goods from the Great Western Exploratory Company, the great trading house from the Eastern Continent, the civilized, sophisticated Eastern Continent, here currently working in the Western Continent of Dane, where everyone is based. They are looking for evidence and found letters inside of Gamon's house that indicate that he would be having a meeting here at this location. So, after some investigation, some conversations that some of which went better than others, we are now currently scattered all about the establishment. We have Celeste and Wyatt currently masquerading as lovers, partners.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, super cool partner. Really not awkward at all.
For whatever the relationship is, they are currently smitten with each other and arm in arm as Celeste uses Astra, her spider familiar, to look around and try to find out if Gamon is indeed here and meeting someone. Desdemona, Diz, is a little ahead of everybody else in terms of scoping out the establishment after having stayed there the previous night, after partaking in their services, and is currently perched at the bar, or at a table right next to the bar, keeping an eye on the rest of the main tavern area, while Sebastian is investigating in a more intimate manner. He had a conversation with one of the women who worked there and was approached by Mira, a person who is of some authority at the Jilted Maiden, and quickly realized that Mira was not a simple entry-level worker. She whisked him upstairs, began to question him while offering her services, but then when that didn't go as planned, she gave him a drink, which he feigned to drink and did not, told him he was poisoned, said that he would have to work with them, and when he was worried that things were going to get dangerous, she said, or maybe work for them. And that is where we left off last time. We are now here at the Jilted Maiden. Everyone, what do you do?
I'm gonna keeping an eye on the two orc men in the corner that were eyeing up Sebastian before we left.
Okay.
I will continuously check on Celeste, drink, and watch the show in front of me.
Okay. And again, it's an amazing performance. She is a very talented singer, as well as a what is it? She's playing a lyre. It's not a lyrist, is it? Whatever she is, a lyre player. Yeah. But anyway, regardless of what it's called and what she is called, it is a wonderful performance. Celeste, you are currently looking through the eyes of Astra, and Astra had just crawled under the top ledge of a door to the north part of the room that you're currently in, and looked out and saw three people at a table. And do you remember?
A blonde girl.
That's right.
I actually took notes. Miller, you'd be so proud. I know, right? With a Clan Devar eyes, green eyes, and then 2 other people with her, which apparently I didn't care enough about. But, it was a start.
So, to the left part of the table, sitting in a large plush red leather chair, is a man wearing elaborate finery, greens and golds, and this elaborate quilted jacket. His long, kind of coiffed, oiled hair, a very luxurious, well-manicured beard, and a golden ascot that's tucked into his jacket. And he's leaning back and looking at the other 2 people at the table. At the far end, closer to the blonde woman that you noticed, there is a man in, it's almost a uniform. It is a very stiff, regulated looking jacket with almost sharp corners to the shoulders, but the predominant color scheme is of Clan Devar. He has next to him a hat that's sitting on the table, definitely a nautical hat, some sort of a captain's, kind of a peak to it. And
Like a working hat, or is it like a hat with like feathers? Like, is that a fancy hat?
Yes, it is definitely a nobleman's, captain's, like high class hat. It's peaked so the front and back, and then it comes up and then back like that with a feather in it.
Okay.
And he's leaning forward and looking intently at the well-dressed man across the room, while the while the blonde looks back and forth at the 2 men, and no one is currently saying anything. Where do you want Astra to go?
No one's saying anything. They're just like hanging out at this table.
It's just like a pause in the conversation. Astra's just come in. Everyone's kind of looking at each other. There's maybe a little bit of tension, but there's just everyone's kind of pausing before getting ready to speak again.
Yeah, I want her to like get to a spot where she can hear well. So I'm gonna reach out to her and be like, okay, if you think you can get underneath that table without them noticing you, I think it's probably the best place you'd be able to hear everything.
You see her gaze focus down, and it looks an incredible distance from her field of vision. And then she looks back up, and then she looks, and there is the ceiling that goes straight out in front of her. And the ceiling of this room is similar to the floor. It's these wooden boards with these like slight grooves between the boards. And you get this thought, I could walk up here and be between the boards.
Do that, and then huddle next to them so they won't notice you.
You got it.
And then also, will you look around at the vertical surfaces? See if there's any other doors in this room.
I'll do my best. She begins to slowly crawl, and that kind of natural spiders not trying to draw attention to themselves, slow creep. And she stays in like that slight crevice between the boards and creeps along. And before too long, the well-dressed man says, now, I don't think there's any reason for us not to come to some sort of agreement. You see, we're all on the same side here. You and you. And I know the tensions are high here. I know very well that you've been taught your whole life to disagree with one another. But you wouldn't be sitting here if you didn't know that that wasn't right. Because it is best for the people in charge for y'all to be mad at one another. So, I know Gamon, he and I have already talked about this. We talked about quite a few things. But, Leslane, may I call you Leslane? Or do you prefer Miss Endale? Leslane is fine. Excellent. Leslane, I want you to know that Gamon, when he first reached out to me, he was hesitant. He really was. I mean, he thought that there was something in you that was similar to him. But he was understandably nervous. I mean, like I said, y'all are taught not to trust one another. But I think you know that the real danger here is the Great Western. So, let's hear your side of this. Why are you sitting here? And what can we do for you? Now we're going to go to Sebastian.
I was happy just to hear that conversation for a while.
I know
Just
you
excited about this one, to be honest.
So, Sebastian, you're standing there, or excuse me, you're sitting on a bed in a small but well-appointed tavern inn room, and looking up at Mira. You're still holding the little vial. Excuse me, no, it was a glass. She made you a glass of wine. You're still holding the little glass that you pretended to drink. And she has just made her statement about working for her.
When you say work for you, you mean the Royal Exchange Enterprise? Or some other group?
I wasn't sure if you knew who you were speaking with, but I see that you do. Yes, that is who I mean. So you know the name. Do you know what it is?
No, but I feel like there's some contention between the REE and the GWEC. But there's also some relationship between this El Endel and Gamon Devar. Or at least they've been corresponding.
I wouldn't worry too much about Gamon and this Endale person, because at the moment they're not what's of interest in this room. See, what's of interest in this room is yourself and your friends that are in my brothel right now.
That's interesting, but maybe what's more interesting than that is who knows what.
That's a good
outside
point.
of this.
Well, that's a very good point. In fact, if I were a person that was worried about security, well, I would probably think that it would be a good idea to make sure that you and your friends never left. So if that's
No,
what you're
more-
suggesting,
More along the lines of what we've told to who so far. And what we could tell, and what we haven't told, or what we have told.
so are you telling me that you're more dangerous if I don't let you go? Because that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense. What I'm trying to say is, you should ask yourself what we've told our contacts at the Great Western Exploratory Company, and what kind of story they have so far, and what kind of story we can tell them that you might want us to tell them. Is that worth the antidote?
It's not. Because, you see, this is... And I really admire you. I do admire you. Because that was a wonderful line of thought. But, unfortunately for you, I'm very, very aware of the tactics of the GWEC, as you call them. And if they knew where you were, and they knew why you were where you were, they would be here with troops, and they would be burning this building to the ground. So,
So,
you obviously haven't told them, which is interesting to me, and which is why you're alive.
so this secret meeting of sorts is fairly important.
No more important than dozens of conversations we have throughout the week.
Burn down your building, scores of troops important.
I simply meant to say that if the Great Western believed that this was an establishment owned by the Royal Exchange, then they would not be so subtle. But you are trying to get me to forget my offer.
Yeah, that's true. Scarier people than you have tried this sort of thing with me.
Where are you from?
Far.
You can't do that with me. I know your accent.
I'm gonna stand up and just go and set that drink on the on a cupboard or something, or a nightstand.
Yeah, she follows you with her eyes, then looks at you.
Well, if you know my accent, then you know where I'm from.
It could be an affectation. I wanted to hear it from you.
Certainly possible.
You don't seem too concerned that you've been poisoned.
That's true. Maybe I'm just cool under pressure.
Make a deception check.
Oh man, this has been going great.
Just cool under pressure.
Under pressure. All
That's
right,
what I was thinking.
my roll 20 hasn't loaded, so I'm just gonna roll it.
That's fine.
Oh, natural 20, great. Okay, here we go.
Perfect.
Perfect. It's just a little charlating over here.
Low key cheating.
That's high key cheating.
11.
Plus what? 11
Plus
total.
level 2, asshole.
Oh, sorry. So she looks at you and goes, "Of course."
She doesn't automatically get to succeed. She has to roll an insight check.
I already rolled it.
Well,
Automatically
touche.
hears lies.
Jeremy.
That's pretty good. It's a pretty good one. It's not the same one.
Wait.
Yes, it is the same one.
That's awesome. It's like the golden snitch,
Yeah.
except worse.
This is we used to call this the black die of death, because whenever I use this and with like villains, terrible things happen to everybody. So
Your old dice?
that's the dice we used in Dan Rye, the original campaign.
Dice can tell when you're DMing versus when you're playing, because my DM dice do the same thing, where if I'm playing, it's like whiff, 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 and then when I'm DMing, I'm like, I didn't mean to crit on you 2 times.
So
Sorry.
so true.
My little fool, I'm sorry.
So true. Okay, so she looks at you and she says, "Oh, of course. That's good. That's well done. You can set the drink down then."
I said it down.
Oh, that's right. You just did. Sorry. She says, so, let's try a different approach. What do you want?
Look, that's a win for me. I don't say in character. That's a good question. To get out of this on top.
Well, you could have done that when you first walked in here. But I want something a little more concrete, because I don't know why you're working for them. I mean, you don't strike me as one of their operatives that they brought from Dalevire.
Because they're paying me.
Well, lots of people could pay you, darling. So, my question is, what do you want? Do you want wealth? Is that why you're working for them?
Of course. I'll find my dice
Yep.
and roll another deception, or are we rolling the same way?
No, roll deception.
I mean,
Go
we
time.
also want wealth.
22.
Oh, man. Okay, so you're just like without like taking a breath, without a beat, you just go, of course.
What does everybody want? Money.
And she goes, except not you.
Motherfucker! God damn it. It's not a lie detector, whatever. She doesn't know me. She whatever. Yes, me.
Okay. If money is what you want, then this is easy, because we'll simply outbid them.
Doing what?
Well, you're already inside the Great Western. That's incredibly valuable to me.
And incredibly dangerous for me.
You walked into here, honey.
I thought this was a different kind of establishment. Not a front for a giant enterprise. And I can't speak for my companions either, so whatever kind of deal.
That's a good point. Let's go get them. Stay right here. And she walks out the door, shuts it, and you hear.
Try to pick that lock.
Alright, Diz. So you've been sitting there for a little bit of time.
And Sebastian.
You saw Sebastian leave a while ago.
Mhm.
It's probably only been about 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And you're glancing into the other room, and you see Wyatt and Celeste still has her head on his shoulder, which you know what that means, obviously. But they really haven't moved. He hasn't come back. You're just sitting there. Every once in a while, you look over at the fiercely beautiful half-orc companion on the other end of your table, and she gives you a "what is she still doing here?" kind of look. Your drink is empty. What do you do?
Does she look like, what is she still doing here? I'm about to go talk to my manager, or what is she still doing here? This is weird, but I'll allow it.
Oh, it's much more of a, like, she doesn't want to do anything about it, right? I mean, like,
Okay.
In fact, if anything, the vibe she gives off is, I wish I wasn't at work.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm still keeping an eye on these two in the corner that I heard appraising Sebastian before he left, and listening for... Because Sebastian and Mira left to a door behind me, is that right?
Yes. Make an intelligence check.
Sure, okay, yeah.
I think your intelligence is very
It's not the worst it's ever been. I'd love to do that, but my character sheet is just giving me the blue screen of death.
Do you have a dice?
No, it's not. Never mind. Yep. But I don't know my intelligence modifier, so now I'm gonna roll one. Right? Right? Right?
Yeah?
Yes.
20. I'm gonna say that's pretty daggone good. So you're sitting there watching them, like, what are they doing? And so you start thinking about work culture. You start thinking about the people that you knew in the community that you ran with for a little bit of time. You start thinking about the society as it works, and you realize that. And by the way, I don't know if you saw on the map today, but where is it? Let's see, Teenage region. Here we go. So orcs call themselves Rotal.
Mm-hmm.
So in Rotal society, there are people who venture out to recruit for the tribe. So typically, and in the past, they would go to other tribes, and so they would send very strong members to other tribes to try to get them to come over and join their tribe instead. And some tribes have been destroyed just by that. Just by you start taking the strongest from them, and then once people start deserting, whole tribes can dissolve and be absorbed by other tribe members. So this is a very old traditional system. And as you look at them and you kind of see them talk, and the way they start looking at people, they're only looking at men. They're only looking at strong, like big, like warrior-looking guys. And so by this point, you've kept your eye on them, and you see them doing this, and you go, I know what this is. They're recruiters.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the best
Can I tell
approximate word in common.
Can I tell from what tribe they are?
Make an insight check. You've looked at them for a while now, and they don't, the way they wear their clothes, the style of their clothes, it doesn't strike you as Rorn. And you kind of look at them and you're like, wait a minute, you're pretty sure they're full shod. Which would make sense.
As that thought process slots in, kind of puzzle piece style, I will with my eye on the other room. Do I see an empty table? Like the room that Wyatt and Celeste are in?
No, but there are two large tables that have no one on the opposite end. So there's a large table with only one person at it that's very close to you.
Then, as I kind of put that together, I'm gonna take my empty whatever I was drinking out of teacup, I think, and then go put it up on the bar, and then tip my hat to the lady that I was sitting with. You're an excellent conversationalist. And then I will get up and move over to this table over here.
Okay. All right. So you slide into the other room and sit down next to Wyatt. Wyatt, you...
this one behind Celeste, actually.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So, Wyatt, you're still sitting there beside of Celeste. We will have something for you to do. Well, what are you doing just in the brief period of time that this is all taking place and she's just got her head on her shoulder?
If this lady put in the wire, I'm just taking probably against my better judgment, taken aback and just like just zoning in on that and really enjoying that, and probably trying not to cry a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since you've heard Elvish. All right, so back to the room.
So she locked me in, checked the door, right?
Not your room.
Different room. I'll shut up now.
That's okay. I should have been a little more specific.
I knew who you were talking about.
Back to the meeting room. So, by this point, Astra is now pretty central over the table in the middle of the room, like mostly tucked in between two of the boards overhead. And the man, the well-dressed man, says, "I think, Leslane, that you'll find that our goals are identical. Because what we want," and then the door opens behind him. It's at that point you realize that what you thought was like a suit of armor that was up against the wall near the door, it moves.
Like bed knobs and broomsticks.
But it was just because the way the spider looks down and just saw that, and you just read it as an animate object. As soon as it moves, you realize that it has a head, and it's a person in like a big suit of old-fashioned armor, and he's massive. He is massive. That's another reason you just didn't think it was real. Like, I mean, he's like 7 feet tall, and he comes out and opens the door, and a tall, beautiful, dark-skinned woman sweeps into the room with kind of like long, curled hair behind her. And she goes over and she, like, all the conversation stops and they turn and look at her, and she goes and she puts her hand on the well-dressed man, and she says, "I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I need to borrow Mavish." He looks
I need
up.
to borrow who?
He says, "I need to borrow." She says, "I need to borrow Mavish." He looks up. I suppose that's fine, but do you want to? You know what? Don't tell me. Mavish, go with Mira and bring the boys from upstairs. All right, have fun. And she says, "You're going to need to hold this. I'm going to bring some guests." "All right. Can I get anyone some refreshments?" And she turns and sweeps out of the room, and the big guy follows her.
Can I do an insight check through Astra's eyes, or is that like too far removed? Like
I
too
will
foreign?
absolutely allow it.
Okay. So what I'm trying to look for is like, is she interrupting this because she's suspicious of like something going on, or is she like interrupting because there's high-paying customer kind of thing? Sort of what I'm looking for. And she's thinking hard, thinking hard. We all know I'm super wise, so.
So, honestly, you have no idea. I mean, but you're kind of just overawed by like the grace and power, like the casual power this woman speaks with. So you're trying to kind of guess at motive, and you're kind of just impressed.
And I'm really disappointed the meeting's over. I was like, well, I learned shit.
Exactly,
Okay.
you know. So everyone seems to pause. A servant comes in, carrying some drinks, and they begin some idle chit chat. You see Gammon lean over and begin to speak with Leslane, and everything kind of grinds to a halt briefly.
Okay, so with that insight check, I think I would just hang out and wait
Okay.
to figure out why.
All right, so Sebastian, she's swept out of the room.
Door's locked.
Yes, sir.
Try to open it.
Okay.
Rolled off an 18 onto a 2. 5.
Yeah, now we're rolling.
You cannot even find any purchase inside of the lock at all. The locks are also like you've picked the lock in an inn before, right? I mean that this is not your first rodeo, and so you're like, oh, this should not be this hard. This is, I mean, it's a pretty high quality lock for a random inn.
Well, mentally thank the universe that Wyatt isn't here, and just go sit somewhere and look like I'm being comfortable.
Okay. All right.
Pick up that glass of poisoned liquid.
Okay. Just drink it.
Chug, 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 chug.
It's like, fuck it.
All right.
No, I'm just gonna keep it somewhere. Maybe I can. I don't know. Who the fuck knows what's gonna happen?
So, back into the main room of the tavern. So Wyatt, you and Diz are in the same room. Celeste still, obviously checked out for the moment. Diz, you're pretending to watch the show a little bit as well and kind of keep an eye on the room, and you feel two large shadows kind of come up over your shoulder. Turn and look, and one is a hulking mountain of a man in armor. He's got a shaved head, kind of harsh features, and he's looking down, and the person next to him is Mira. And she says, "It's good to see you again, darling. I'm going to need you to come with us."
No. I'm not sure I got the money to pay for that one. Sorry, love.
It's on the house.
Am I getting a threat? You know, aside from the giant man in the suit of armor.
I was gonna say, besides the steel
So-
man.
Like, am I getting like this is an upsell or?
If it's helpful, she seems kind of charming with a touch of an edge that maybe you'd miss. Wyatt would miss it.
I mean,
but,
maybe you're in.
but he is doing this. Like these cold, dead eyes that are staring at you. I mean, he exudes nothing but threat.
He's the
What
mountain.
does everybody else in this room look like they're doing?
Not looking at you.
Like specifically, like, oh my god, something's about to happen, not looking at me, or they're distracted?
No one is like. Everyone is just like.
Okay. I think about drawing my scimitar, and then I think better of it. And I don't look at Celeste or Wyatt at all, and I just kind of get up with them.
Okay. She says, "Come on." She twines her arm into yours, and over where you were standing, there's a doorway. It opens, and the friendly elven woman that you were speaking with has already moved out of the way, and there are two men in some sort of a kind of uniformed livery. Dark colors, a little gold patch of the house kind of logo for not the RE, but for the Jilted Maiden, and but they look much too professional to be guards at a brothel. They're standing there. They're very, very fit. Each of them has a sword on their hip, and they motion forward, and Mira walks you towards them, while the large man stands. And once you go to the door, Mira and one of the guards ushers you into this small. It's not a large room, but it's large enough for a set of stairs that go up and then kind of goes up and then left and then up again. and then there's a door to your right, and then a few doors up and to the left. And she says, "Let's just wait for the rest of our companions just a moment." So Wyatt,
As we're making
go ahead.
As we're making our way through like the small staircase, I'm gonna slightly exaggerate how much I need to duck my head to
So-
get underneath things.
She doesn't actually take you upstairs. She just keeps you in
Oh,
the
okay.
room where the stairs are. And so, like I said, there's a door to the right. There's a door up and to the left. But she just keeps you right there and says, "Let's just wait for just a moment for the rest of our friends." So Wyatt, you're sitting there, and this large hand claps onto your shoulder. Not the one, obviously, where Celeste's head currently resides.
But our deception was so good. So good.
I'll keep staring at the lady playing, just enthralled, and then just hold up an empty cup and say, "Yeah, one more, please," and just keep staring forward.
Listen, you can go ahead and get yourself up now, or I can pull you up.
Sure. Sorry. And I'll awkwardly shake Celeste and probably wipe a tear.
She's completely out of it. He looks at you and he says, "You want me to carry her?"
If you can do so with kindness and courtesy, sure.
Right. And so you stand up and help her, and he puts one arm like around her waist, and then just picks her up and puts her under his arm. So she's kind of dangling. He just got her
Like Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, he's just got her like this under his arm, and then he's got you on the shoulder, and he says, "Come on."
I remembered to wear pants. Thank you very much. Not in a Pooh Bear outfit.
At this point, everyone is like this.
Is the music still playing, or has it stopped at this point?
So it's obviously like slow and awkward, but she's trying to get through it. You know what I mean? She's trying to play through.
I'll, like, if his big ass paw is right here, I'll just like awkward. You're great, thank you. As I keep going forward.
So he leads you back out of the room over towards the bar area, and there's a door just to the right of the bar. And as you step into that room and he turns you towards that door, he goes, "She's really good, isn't she?"
She's some of the best I've heard in a long time.
Amazing. He nudges the door open, and you see Diz and one of the women that you've seen in there before stand there arm in arm. Though it doesn't quite strike you as a loving scene that you're walking into. And he takes you both in there, and then he looks at the woman who turns around and she says, "Ah, excellent. Right through here." She turns to the door to the right, opens it up, and about that time, the door unlocks for Sebastian. It opens, and there are 3 guards. They're standing there. One of them's got his arm crossed. The other 2 have their hands on their swords. And he says, "You're coming with us downstairs."
Capital.
Come on. Alright. So, before long, you're all in the same room. Sebastian comes down the stairs. Everyone's in this, like, kind of tight space. They open the door to your right, walk you through, and there in front of you is the room that I described to Celeste. So Celeste, the last thing I'll say before you say something to me is that Astra turns and looks, and you see yourself walk in under the arm of a large man in armor.
That's literally what I was about to ask. So perfect. Cool. At that
Sorry,
point,
who else is in this room?
So, oh my gosh, sorry. People have been texting me. That's really funny. So you walk in, and all of you, through this fairly narrow corridor in the room, all four of you, yes, four of you with Mira in the front, and the large man in armor with 3 guards behind him. The 3 guards are just hanging out in the room behind, so he's coming in. You guys
So
walk.
9 people?
That's right. So we'll just go ahead and do this. It's not the right token for Wyatt, but we'll just pretend. And I'm missing somebody. Here we go.
It's a me.
That's right.
It's for me, Mario.
So they lead you guys in, and you walk into a room with big bright windows to the left and straight ahead of you. A long, really beautiful, highly lacquered table, and 3 people sitting at it. One incredibly well dressed man, coiffed hair, beard, as I described earlier. The other one at the other end of the table is a younger man in a almost military looking outfit, and then the woman who is also well dressed, but not in a traditional offhandus kind of a feminine attire. Hers is a little more utilitarian. Still well made, but she's in breeches. She's got a jacket on, and she does not look awkward in what she's wearing. Blonde hair and those telltale Indale green eyes. They all turn and look at you, and the well-dressed man at the top stands, turns and smiles and says, "What a pleasant surprise. Mira, who have you brought for us?" And she says, "Well, everyone, I'd like to introduce you to employees of the Great Western Exploratory Company. They are..." So, you make a face, Diz?
No.
What floor are we on right now?
The main level.
Okay, so we're on ground floor?
Mhm.
Delightful.
You gotta just run and just smash through the windows and get out.
Batman.
Perfect.
Here we go.
She says, "However, there may be a conversation to be had, and I found it quite interesting that here this conversation is taking place, and much of what we've been speaking about, I've just been speaking about with my new friend. Isn't that right?" And she looks at you, Sebastian.
Which one of you is Ellendale? Green eyes.
She... Oh, L and... Yes? Have you been looking at letters that I've written? How else would you know
And
that?
Look at the guy in like the uniform.
Mm-hmm.
So does that make you Gamon?
Alright. I don't like where this is headed. Who are these people, and if they really do work for the Great Western, then they're enemies. Pure and simple. There's no reason to have a
We
conversation.
do work for
with
Great
them.
Western loosely, but it took us about 2 days to find you.
It's true. In fact, I
We,
feel like maybe you shouldn't go around pointing out enemies immediately.
So Celeste says this, and the big guy goes, "Oh," and like sets you.
I'm like
He's alive.
on his shoulder like a sack of potatoes, and I'm like kicking my little legs.
No.
He blinks and he looks over at Wyatt and goes, "She sobered up quick."
I know how to
So
hold my liquor.
She does that.
So as my new friend Mira was saying, we have been having a conversation, and maybe what the discussion should be is not how we're enemies, but how we can be friends.
At this point, the bearded man crosses his arms and he looks at you as you speak, and then he goes, "But you're not from Home Office?"
Do I know? So the home office is okay. No, I'm not. I mean, kinda,
Yeah.
but not really.
You're from Delaware. But yeah, Mira. Okay, this is interesting. There's some more chairs right
And
here. Everybody have a seat. Please, you're guests. You're not prisoners here. Please, just have a seat. We're all going to have a conversation. And do you guys walk forward?
Yeah, have a seat.
I'm doing that thing that I've done previously where I don't take as much care where I step, and I'm just kind of like,
Making yourself big.
yeah, like lumbering is not a great word, but I'm like not being as deliberate in my movements to be like graceful or feminine.
I do the exact opposite and like try to turn on like that charm of like the aristocrat, right? And like spread my skirt out then in front of me and smooth it down and like
Okay.
sit up properly.
I'm gonna sit.
I'm gonna,
I'll
like, perhaps
show you
do
where
it
that's
in order.
Where's the window at?
There are two large windows to the north, and that's where most of the free chairs are. So
So this is a window. Is that correct?
that's right. There are 4 chairs to the north. You guys could all sit up there next to each other.
Perfect.
Delightful.
Yeah.
Learn Featherfall real quick.
It's the main level. So
Still important though.
Oh, I'm gonna get out one of my cigars and smoke it.
okay. Actually, as you get it out, Mira comes around and she offers to light it for you. And she grabs a candle and lights it for you.
Thank you.
And but I do have one thing I need to say really quickly. As you guys all walk around and past the well-dressed man, he has a large sapphire pendant that he wears that just comes just below his ascot. And as you all go by him, there's a flash. Like it pulses. This darker blue, and I need everyone to roll a d20. Just a straight up d20.
Oh, that's not good.
10.
13.
That's a 19.
What'd you get, Celeste?
I don't know. How do I roll a d20 on just roll 20?
Far left. Upper left.
There's a little dice in your bar on the far left. Just click on that and then move it over to D20. Just click on the
Or just roll a dice.
Josh, will you bring me some dice?
D20. there's no dice in your house.
That would be a great time to talk about our sponsors.
That's right.
Please.
right.
Oh wait, I hated the dice.
Wyatt, do a spiel on a sponsor.
Good, I figured it out. I'm very clever.
So 2 people
No.
got a
Sponsored
19.
by Gamers Haunt. Gamers Haunt for all of your dice needs.
She nailed it.
When you really need dice.
So you guys both rolled a 19. I need you guys to roll again. So Diz and
Ooh.
Celeste.
I don't think that's good.
Huh. Okay. That's a 6.
For 15.
Okay, Celeste. 15. Great. All right. So
It's not a good smile, John.
so I don't have any good smiles. Every time I smile, my wife gets suspicious. So you guys all walk by. You see this flash, and Celeste, though, you look at it, and the blue it almost overwhelms your vision. You see it, and then like it pulses. You close your eyes, and you feel suddenly like you're falling. You're like grasping around, and you think maybe you've just fallen backwards from the flash, but no, like you're plummeting. There's nothing under you. You're cascading through the air. You look up, and it's just darkness all around you. You're going through, but you're falling much too fast. You feel like it's impossible how fast you'd be falling, and then suddenly, just as you're like, you think maybe this is going to last forever, you realize you are standing on a cold surface, and your eyes adjust, and you realize you're in some massive vaulted room with cascading cathedral ceilings that go at least 5 stories tall. And there's a very thin sliver of light that comes through an elaborate, gorgeous, but distant and strange stained glass window far overhead. And just when you think this could not get any stranger, you look down and realize the entire floor of this unbelievably vast room is a diagram. It is entirely covered in ritual markings. And you look down and you start to see them. And you look up and you realize there is a cloaked figure in the distance. And it turns to look at you. And you sit down in your seat. And you look around and everyone is sitting next to you. And no one else seems to be acting like anything happened.
What the actual fuck?
Hey, what the fuck?
Could I roll to see if I can memorize what these ritual things look like?
Yes, make an intelligence check.
Do you have keen on?
We're waiting on roll 20. Waiting on roll 20. 7.
Ooh.
You do your best, but you barely saw it. Okay, so you all sit down. Celeste looking a little spooked, but I mean, that's not surprising. And the man at the seated now to your right says, "Allow me to introduce myself. I'm sorry that this is a little unusual, but
Is this the guy that's wearing that terrifying stone?
yes, yeah,
I would like to try to not look at it.
okay." So you look over at him. Excuse me, you do not look over at him, and he says, "My name is Bray Urathi. I am a merchant here in this fine city of yours. A merchant from the great kingdom of Elmore. Now, I've been speaking with my friends Gimon and Leslane, and it seems like y'all are here because there's an opportunity. Now, I'm an optimist myself. I'm sorry, I know I talk a lot, y'all, but there's always something good at the end of what I say, you know what I mean? So, I'm an optimist, and if you are here on account of the Great Western, now, to me, that means that you are here because you know something. So, what do you know?
First of all, I'd like to notice that you do not seem very surprised that we're here. Everyone seemed to assemble and feel quite comfortable to have a meeting with us instantaneously. Take
That's
it we're
right.
not the first?
Well, everybody's always trying to get into our interests, especially the Great Western. They're not the most pleasant bunch to do business with.
What are your interests?
Well, fabrics mostly. I dabble a bit in herbs as well that you can't find in, well, Rye, where we're from. I mean, there's a lot of goods that you, and this new up and coming market that Dalevire just likes to hog. So they sent someone like me up here to see if I could, drum up a little bit more trade for our beautiful kingdom.
Can I make an insight check, or do I need to make an insight check to see if I know what market he's talking about?
What do you mean, what market?
Orc tusk.
When he said this new business that Dalevire seems to be hogging for itself.
Sure. Okay. You don't get the sense that he is alluding to a very particular trade. It's more that they want to hog all trade here,
Gotcha.
right? And so that seems to be what he was insinuating and saying that they just want a slice of the pie, if you will.
I just for reference, when he asks what we all know, I immediately put on my like, slack jawest, stupidest face I possibly can.
Right.
I look like myself when I'm sitting in like a math class.
What about trading in gunpowder and crossbow bolts,
I mean,
machine
that's
parts?
whatever you can sell.
What do you want us to know?
Look, there's no real reason for me. And then at this point, Les Lane interrupts and she says, "Can we stop with whatever this strange charade is that's going on here? This weird game. These are agents from the Great Western, and you invited them into our meeting. This is odd. Come on, what is going on?" And he says, "No,
Pretty
Look.
odd.
Look, I know it may sound weird, but you have to trust Bray. He always knows the right answer to a solution, and I don't know who these people are, but I mean I'm not saying I like them either, but let's just hear this out." And she's just shaking her head and she leans back in her chair. If this goes in a direction that I don't like, I'm not going to stay.
That's fair. Clearly outnumbered, so there's certainly no harm in us having this conversation. We're well and firmly in your grasp.
Well, you're not in my grasp.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe you should tell us how you guys know each other then.
So,
You don't work together?
Celeste, you actually recognize her.
Okay.
Yeah, you've seen her around. You don't know her well, but you've seen her at like formal functions. You've definitely seen her at like important administrative city events. I mean, so she's not just in Dale. She's in Dale. Like she's somebody you've seen in official capacity.
Okay.
She says, "Look, I'm not a part of anything. I came here because Gaman and I have some concerns about, well, evidently about the people that pay you, and about the concern of my city. So, Bray, Mr. Urathi, was trying to tell me that his organization could help. But so far I've heard no concrete path towards how that would happen. And now we have invited spies from the Great Western. No offense to you all, I don't really know you. Here.
Point of order is we're not actually spies. We've only been paid a couple of times from. So basically, we're just working for the coin.
Make a
If you wanna
deception
know for truth.
check.
Sure.
I'm like nodding, very like doe-eyed, like
I want you to make a deception check too.
Oh shit.
A 4. That's not
Yeah.
really.
7.
Is that really? Can I ask though? Is that really deception? Because we aren't really like agents. We are
Your
sellswords.
accent is a little strange there.
Do you always speak like that, or are you lying?
Oh, that deception. Got it.
Oh, that.
Yeah, because
Lying part.
unfortunately for you, your accent when you change it is better than Wyatt's accent when he changes
Then
it.
Wise.
Wyatt sounds like
That's
me
fine.
trying to
I'll-
speak with an Irish accent. Okay, so
I'm gonna keep it up. I don't care.
yeah.
Wise very proud of this.
So you just see Bray goes, just gets like puzzled look on his face. The other two don't make any face at all or whatever. They just keep staring. But and Diz is going.
I'm trying to keep my face as quiet as I can, but I hear him imitating my accent, and I am stepping on every impulse to actually step on him under the table.
Can you do just a worse version of that accent, Jeff, from now on for this conversation?
He
Yeah,
probably
make it
I'll see what I can do.
he probably can't.
I'll see what
make
I
it
can do.
harder.
You're
All right.
too convincing.
All right, so
My comrade is correct. We have not made any, what should I say, bedfellows yet. Maybe this meeting's a good one to have.
Bray nods and says, "Exactly. This is an opportunity, as I was just saying. And it seems to me that your hesitation in working for the Great Western means that you may be open to helping Althandis. I'm assuming you're all from here, except for the fellow with the weird voice."
I will say this: I can decide with Mavish here. I definitely would love to hear how you could help the city, and not just yourself.
So they turn and look at the big guy in armor. Mavish?
Oh, damn it! I wrote it down for that lady's name. What's her name?
Leslie.
Leslie.
Leslie. Damn. Here
Yeah.
I am taking notes, trying to be all cool.
It's Les Lane, but when Bray says it, it's Les Lane.
Leslie.
He's from
And then when
Elmore.
Wyatt says it, it's
Same.
right. Except with like
More
this
free
small
version.
amount of Irish, like Leslie, and except it's like the Lucky Charms.
All right. So what did you say again? You said like
I mean, I would love to hear. So far, it sounds like you're just here because you want a piece of the pie, but you won't call this meeting because you said, I believe, told Les Lane that you could help the city. I'm more interested in hearing that.
we are. Because you see, we know what the Great Western does to a place like this. They come in first, they act like they're benefactors, and they're going to help. They bring wealth, they bring trade. That's undisputed. But then they slowly start bribing city officials, they buy property, they put their fingers into every little piece of whatever they can get. And then when they don't need the people in charge anymore, they just kick them out and take over. And this will become a colonial outpost of Dale of Ire itself, under the auspices of the Great Western. And that means no real autonomy. That means y'all will be just used as a hub between goods coming in and goods coming out.
So how would you help?
Well, we don't want that. You see, we really can't operate in the same way that the Great Western can all the way up here. So we want to be partners. That's too far away. We just can't run things like they can. And we don't want to. That's not how we operate. So what we want to do is to help empower some of the local people here to push the Great Western out. Give us what they have now, and we don't want any more than that. Also, we think that it's probably in everybody's best interest if we stop the trade with the Rorn and the western part of the Sea of Tears.
When
Now,
you say we,
I mean,
you mean
the interests of my mercantile establishment.
is that the motherfucker? I lost it. The GEE, which or the is that the Royal Exchange Enterprise or Eldmore?
You see his eyes flick up to Mira real quick, and she goes. He looks back and he says, "Well, for the purposes of this conversation, the REE and the interests of Eldmore are one and the same."
Oh,
Can I inside check that?
You sure can.
well,
Lovely.
that statement fucked me up. I don't know what that means.
13.
I mean, he seems to be speaking with confidence and authority in what he was saying.
Can I
The
get a look
little-
at
I'll just say it was the look at Mira that made me question what he was saying.
Can I look at Gimon and Leslane? Like, how much are they buying into what he's saying?
Gamon is nodding and eyes, and he's like looking over at Leslane like, see? And you can tell, like, he looks like a person that's used to be able to speak, and he keeps, like, almost jumping in, but then, like, he's like, he keeps hesitating just enough to where Bray just kind of drones on, and then he can't quite get in there. And then when there is a pause, he didn't really know how to add to it, so he's been just kind of sitting there, not really apart, but his face, his countenance, and everything. I mean, he's definitely been interested and enthusiastic about what's been said. Where Leslane, I mean, make an insight check.
$16.
All right, you look at her, and her face is impassive. I mean, she's definitely not trying to give anything away, but occasionally you see, like, there'll be a little tug at the corner of her mouth, or her eyes will narrow slightly, and she seems skeptical.
As much as I can, I don't let any of my actual thought process show on my face.
Okay.
Sebastian thought maybe that these guys are the good guys against the GWAC until the comment about alliance with Eldmore, and then he's like interested in the conversation, and then after that statement he just kind of leans back, like crosses his arms, like it's just one fucking thing after another.
Now, you need to remember, he only knows a little bit about Eldmore.
And the only thing he knows is people talking shit about it.
That's right.
So that's that.
Yeah. All right. So, Bray says, look, my main purpose for today was I really wanted Leslane to know how much we could do for her and her family. It may seem like they're in a good position right now because is your daddy interested in? And she says, no, he's not interested in anything. He's interested in his lifestyle. But my grandfather, he says, yeah, your grandfather, that's a different story, ain't it? So, you know very well that he's all inside the pocket of the Great Western. And he's part of the reason that they keep getting more and more powerful. And anyone who looks over, I'm not even going to make you make a perception check. Gamon is just gritting his teeth at this part. And Bray, we are willing to give you support, to give you trade opportunities right now, not in some sort of hypothetical way in the future. And we're willing to give you some military backing when the time comes. But the first thing we got to do is start prying their fingers off of this town. And I know that's something you're interested in. Maybe.
John, I'm sorry, can you remind me, like, how much outward enmity there is between the Endales and the Divars?
They would kill each other if they could.
But they can't.
Because all the laws of the city are created by their two families. And the only check on one of them is the other. And so everything has been created so that both of them are equal. And if that equality wavered, then they would kill each other. So, yeah. Yes.
So, with the gritting of the teeth, can I make an insight check to see if I register some sort of more than business relationship between Indale and Gamon?
Sure.
I didn't even think about that.
What am I rolling? An insight check?
Yeah.
18.
Okay.
Because
You
I
look
rolled
at them.
a 18.
I mean, she's an attractive woman, and he's an attractive man. You see him like he's leaning a little bit in her direction.
What was the grimace when they were talking about her grandfather?
That seemed to be a flash of just white anger. Like you don't see any sign from her that there is any sort of, you don't see any warmth in her, and anything that you see from him, it seems he's not looking at her when he does that. He's not, cheating towards her. There doesn't seem to be anything directly revolving around her. She says, "Look, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to have to think about this. I appreciate you bringing me here today, and Gamon, I appreciate you. At least you want to do something. It seems like everyone else is just stuck or oblivious to what's happening. But I can't make a decision right now, and I'm going to go." And she starts to stand up, and he says, "Well, I mean, there's plenty of time to talk." And then Mira puts a hand on Bray's shoulder and says, "Absolutely, we completely understand. We'll be in touch." Leslie,
Does she actually
Mhm.
not want to make a decision right now, or is she covering to leave?
make an insight check.
16.
You get that there's a struggle in her, and it's hard to see, like, clearly something is bothering her, and clearly she wants to leave, but whether it's all a ruse or whether she really is just bothered by it, it's hard to say, but she's definitely bothered by something. Like, she's trying to make a decision. Now, whether or not it's about this or not, I mean, it's impossible to say, but... And then she opens the door behind her and walks out of the room. Gamon says, "Well, great. That didn't... You said she was going to come over." Bray looks at him. "Let's talk about it in a minute. We have some other guests we need to attend to." So, and he looks over at the door and he looks back at you guys, and he seems subtly different. He says, "Let's get down to it. Are you spies or not?"
I mean, I don't imagine you're going to let us out of here unless we start working at least with you.
So we don't have to.
Or at least not alive. This one's already, whatever. So, what are you going to pay us?
Mira, make
What
a
you gonna
note.
pay?
Mira, make a note. One of them's got a brain. We all getting paid now.
Tell them the answer that I don't.
Yeah, what are we getting paid now?
Not enough.
100
I want
gold a
to
minute.
say 200 gold pieces.
Well, I don't think we discussed it, right? Because he said last time was 100 gold, and he said the next job is more,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. So it is a little bit ambiguous.
Yeah. Wyatt's trying not to talk.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, those did.
Look, I get it, and this may be. It may seem like y'all had the rug pulled out from under you. You were coming here to do a simple thing, probably just look around. And instead, you got caught up in something else. I get that. But you are here. So I'm going to ask you a simple question. Where y'all from? Let's go down the list. He points to Celeste.
Sure.
Really? Where'd you grow up?
Part that matters, the Lantern City. The Lantern area.
Huh? Great part of town. And you, Delavirian. What part of Delav are you from?
South.
That explains it. Alright, and you, ma'am, where are you from?
I suppose you could say I'm from Otandis, but really my home's the sea.
I understand that. Bit of a seaman myself. Let's see
Celeste
here.
tries not to roll her eyes.
Last but not
Yeah, I'm
least,
just laying it on real thick.
my man who knows how to dress right here. Where are you from, son?
I was born in a small village, about north of Othandis. Don't worry about it. You've never heard of it.
Let's just take a wild swing at it and see if I have. What's it called?
Dooman.
What was that?
Dooman.
Is that next to Yaman or is that next to Kareed?
Further north.
All right.
Good chat. I love it.
The reason I asked y'all that question was because I wanted to see if y'all had some motivations based on what we talked about in here a minute ago. Do any of you want to see the Great Western not have control of the city? Because if you do, then maybe besides gold, you'd feel a little bit more fulfilled working for us.
John, were those Gamon's men that we killed in the brewery?
You think so?
Perhaps. But I also think you wouldn't want us to come over right now. I imagine you would want us to take our time to think about it. We could be so easily bought right here now. Why would we not flip immediately on you? I assume you're looking for people within the city that will help your cause in a more loyal way.
There's some wisdom to that. Yeah. Of course, a person in my position, I got to think about my exposure as well. And so if I let y'all go and you just flip on me, as you say, I mean that's a lot of risk, right?
I'm certain you could buy our silence.
Well, it sounds like I
Anyone can.
can't. You said that I could pay you and you could just flip on me as soon as you leave. So if I can't buy your silence, we'll look at your silence.
Fair. What I mean more is that I think you would want us to take time to think about it. Ensure that we aren't just flipping because we are held at sword point, captured in this room. I do think we could make very good, strong allies, and I think we could be a great asset to you. But I want to make sure it's for the right reason and it's beneficial to both of us. Wouldn't you agree?
I would. Very astute, young lady. I think that's a good point. Is there anything that y'all would want in particular that you think maybe nobody could get you? The Great Western couldn't do for you? because they don't ultimately care about you, but you all seem like a smart bunch. You know that already. So, what do you want? There's some to everybody worth more than money. And his eyes linger on Wyatt just for a second. Think about it. And you see Mira, her eyes widen for a second. She looks down at him, and her hand is still on his shoulder. And she says, I don't think we should. And you see him grip her hand. That's enough. All right. A fortnight enough?
I think that's more than generous.
I want to prove to y'all that we're not like them. We have
We're
something
going
to
to need
believe
to
in.
tell them something.
Fine. What do you think you should tell them?
I think maybe we should have a conversation about that.
True. It's a good opportunity for us to show you that you can also trust us, whether or not we come to work for you.
So what brought you here then?
I think you know the answer to that. Great Western.
But they don't know we're here. You do. How did you find out?
We are excellent investigators.
Give me some specifics.
Oh, you've been in correspondence with the family, the Devars.
Gamon leans forward. What? Who?
Have you not?
I am a Devar. Who have you been in contact with?
What's that's a pretty magnificent skull in your study.
There it is.
Jeremy, I was just about to say something completely different. I'm so glad you said that.
I'm so excited that that's just thrown out there. Yes.
His eyes
You motherfuckers!
gripping the table.
I want to hear what you had to say now. I wish I'd kept my mouth shut.
No, you don't.
No, this is way better.
Yeah, this is way better.
You broke into my house? You're the ones who broke into my house? These... Oh, we can't trust them. We absolutely can't trust them. You and he starts...
We specifically did it and avoided hurting your dogs, so you're welcome.
Or maybe you can trust us because we've put all of our cards on the table. And we clearly are good at what we do.
And we didn't take your skull.
And it was a lovely skull.
I mean,
And it took us about 2 days to get here.
So he's stopped fuming at this point and saying things out loud, but he's just glaring daggers at all of you, just like running his eyes up and down the line of you, and just like his face is red. But Bray is doing this. And then when everything calms down a little bit, he says, "All right. So I'm assuming you know about our business arrangement." Right.
parts of
At 2 degrees.
And I'm assuming the Great Western knows about the business arrangement.
Not yet.
Make a deception check.
Do they know about this
I think they
relationship?
did.
No,
We haven't.
They know that the Gamon Devar is the smuggler, don't they?
right,
Oh, I
but they
thought you
don't know
meant specifically
the
for the REE.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. But-
And the Folshmod and all of that.
God damn it! I get a +5!
Welcome. Taste my pain.
So
Don't like it. It's bitter and gross.
he just nods. This is okay. So, here's what you tell him. You tell him that Gimon is indeed stealing from them and smuggling. Gimon says, "What are you?" And he says, "Hold on. Gimon is smuggling and selling to some tribes out west. That's true. You can tell him that. Tell him you found proof and evidence. And then you leave
Okay.
the RE out of it.
What's that worth to you?
Well, I believe it's worth a great deal. And that means that y'all have something to work for, because I can give you more."
I feel like we could agree to that for this moment. In a fortnight, to see where the chips fall. And I look around at each of you and make eye contact. How do you feel? I do not speak for us as a group.
Probably better that you do, Celeste.
Excellent. Well, I think I've taken up enough of your time then. I'll let y'all get back to your day. I am going to need your names and your addresses before you leave. So feel free to give that to my associate here. And gosh, it's been too much business. Gimon, you look like you need a drink. Why don't we go to the cellar downstairs? I'm not taking no for an answer. Stop looking at me like that. I know you're mad. If you're going to be mad, don't worry about it. I'm going to keep you safe. I promise you that. All right, boys. Ma'am. And he stands up and he gives a long formal bow that you have seen before from somebody. And then exits the room with Gimon, who stiffly walks behind him.
As he leaves, I'll just say, I do apologize, but if you need someone for like a security, to kind of tell you where the best place is to place your security guards, let us know. We're intimately familiar.
He like clenches his fist, and Bray grabs his arm and just puts
Just
it
trying to
down.
help.
Slowly leaves, and they walk past Mavish, and Mavish is just standing there with his head down, and you hear.
I don't know.
I fucking love Mavish.
I love Mavish. How do we get Mavish as our follower instead?
Yeah. He's got old armor. We can buy him nicer armor, right?
It's more old-fashioned.
Damn. All right.
Armor is hollow. He's just inside it. He's a ghost, my guy.
Oh, 100%. Sleepy ghost.
Mm-hmm.
So who's left in the room with us right now?
Right now, it's you guys and Mavish and Mira.
And Mira.
She's
Okay.
standing
So when
there
you meant
with her fingers kind of like trailing the edge of the table and looking at all of you, and her hip is a little cocked out. She's got her head cocked. She's looking at all of you. She does not seem very pleased. No, go ahead. Sorry, what did you say?
when he said give the details to my associate, did he indicate Mavish or did he indicate Mira?
Mira.
Okay.
So I like kind of relax a little bit and like rub my forehead, and there's this moment where you can like notice like sweat stains on my pretty silk dress, you know, 'cause I'm like so nervous. And I'm like, okay, well, that didn't go great. And then I look up at Mira and I'm like, so how did you know we were all together?
She shakes her head and she sits down in the same chair that Bray was in. And then she says, it's really not that hard to figure out, darling. Does anybody in here want a drink? What time is it? It doesn't matter.
Careful. When she says, does anybody want a drink? I look at everyone and say, careful.
I like cock my eyebrow and I'm like, okay, maybe.
I would love one. Completely doesn't
Nice.
read fast. Yeah.
I lean over to Wyatt after he says that. Right, I'll forgive you for the terrible accent just for the pleasure of watching a Devar squirm. Thanks for that.
Oof. Just throw him under the table. Jesus.
100%.
So, if Mira notices or cares, she doesn't act like it. She makes a little hand gesture, and then pretty soon someone comes in with a tray of drinks. It's all wine, all white wine. Sets it down in front of each of you, her as well. The person leaves, and she just drinks half of it in one big long sip, and then sets it down, and then she says, "Okay, so let's go ahead and get this over with." And that little brief moment where she had an accent is gone again. And she says, "So let's go ahead and get this out of the way. I'll go ahead and get your names and addresses so that we can be in contact. And let's see what kind of a relationship develops, shall we?"
My head, and I'm like, no, I'm actually surprised that you're the one who's doing the secretarial work. Didn't expect that.
Oh, sweetheart, I'm not the secretary. I'm security.
Interesting.
So, do you guys give her your names, or do you lie?
I absolutely lie.
I tell her Diz Urazio.
So she lies.
If you lie, make a deception check. Actually, you know what? Don't even bother. Just tell me what name you give her. So Diz is Urazil. Wyatt is Finglebang Dumperdink, and
I was gonna say William.
I give her my name because if I recognize Lucille Leslane, I imagine they would be able to figure out who I was.
okay.
And I'm a
Alright.
goody-goody.
I'm going to stand up and take her hand and say, my name is Sebastian. I'm at your service. I live at XYZ, and you're definitely in the top 3 people who have propositioned me and tried to kill me all in one night. And I hope you have a wonderful evening. And
Oh yeah, I list my address as the instigator, and that's it.
And I list the old room that got broken into that I had to move away from.
Okay. All right. After you guys give your names and your whereabouts, and you profess your admiration, she takes it all in stride. Doesn't write anything down, just nods, and then she says, well, "Feel free to finish your wine, or if you're..." She nods at Sebastian, now standing over her. "Too scared?" Good.
Just going to push that glass out of the way. Shall we meet tomorrow, friends? I look at our group.
Sure.
I missed what you said. Sorry.
Where should we meet up tomorrow?
Are we still in that room?
Yes.
Oh, maybe we should meet up right now, not here.
So
What?
she does
Very
say
good.
she does say to you, "So 1 fortnight. I'll see you soon, and I imagine you don't want to come back here. So let's say
Never
we
again.
meet. Let's say we meet at. We'll meet at the Pillar, and then we can all go to a tavern nearby. It'd be nice and neutral. Lots of people around. You should feel safe."
Sounds good. And GTFO.
Okay. You guys all walk out by Mavish, who doesn't say anything.
Take that glass of wine and just empty it.
It's absolutely the best glass of wine you've ever had.
That's not hard to believe.
It's not.
the fifth glass of wine I've ever had.
So I watch like Sebastian do this, right? And as we're leaving, I go, guess I should have tried to kill you if I wanted to have a conversation with you again later. And just walk out.
So, that's a good note to say. Does anyone need a break?
Be dead.
Nailed it.
We'll pick back up when you guys are outside. I'm going to go take the dog out. I'm going to let this thing continue to run, but I'm going to go ahead and...
Sounds good.
All right.
If I turn my camera off, is it gonna mess up OBS?
Yeah, you actually don't have to because I'm going to turn it to the stream. Be right back.
Nice.
So.
Love it. Love it.
I do not turn red.
Hair swoop.
Gets in my face a lot.
Same. Hard same.
In my beard.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Wow.
I want my beard to be long enough to where I can do that with my beard. It'll happen one day.
all right. So you guys walk outside, having just had that conversation and heard the withering statement from Celeste. What do you guys do?
Is the Endale woman still around?
Make a perception check.
So
All right. You look around the area. It's still bustling. In fact, it's busier than when you guys first went in. And you don't see her.
Sure.
Walk.
I stole your accent for a little bit.
What did you say?
I'm sorry, I stole your accent for a little bit.
I look at Wyatt for a minute, and it's like this look of like the epitome of bless your heart, of like, oh, you did not
You
steal
didn't.
her accent.
I don't say anything.
I think I did.
I just kind of like on the shoulder, like. Should we go back to Grizz? Let him know what we've got today.
What time is it?
It's probably only 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
We could give it a day.
I think maybe we should give it a day. Give ourselves time to practice what we were going to say. And I think it would be good if we end up on the same page.
Are we still inside the walking out? Or the tavern?
You're kind of in that little courtyard area in front of it. Yeah. There are people everywhere, other shops that are open, lots of business.
Remind me what part of town this is?
This is Graveport.
Okay.
I mean, you guys can, you like, it's not a dock area where you are now, but you're still close enough to where you can hear the occasional bells from ships, and you can hear sailors shouting at each other in the distance. I mean, that's pretty loud. It echoes. But mostly what you hear is just conversation, people yelling out of windows at one another, ladies who are currently on the clock calling down to gentlemen as they walk past, things like that.
So maybe we should move out of earshot of this place, down the way a bit.
What kind of a conversation do we need to have amongst ourselves about this?
What our next play is.
Someplace
So
a little bit
start-
more neutral to have that conversation?
Yeah, start walking down the road.
Okay, you guys start walking north.
I think for like 2 seconds about not following him, and then I do.
Alright, after a slight hesitation, you continue on with the rest of the group. Wyatt, you just continue to stay silent. You guys travel on up a bit. There are a few other taverns to the north as the street continues on, and at this point there's no houses of pleasure They're all just regular taverns and businesses, and there's a bakery. There's a couple of kind of very basic restaurants, if you can even call them that. They're not really restaurants. They're like taverns without a whole lot of alcohol. Yeah.
So once we're a ways away, I'll say I don't really have any sort of loyalty to the Great Western Exploratory Company by any stretch of the imagination. I don't really care about this REE either, though.
Sort of worried it's just a replacement. The words are just different. Same thing.
He talked about bringing troops in. That was interesting to me.
Yeah.
I can't imagine
Yes.
one group bringing in troops and not being met with some sort of resistance from the other group. Usually that means war.
Usually.
Which of these groups is more likely to kill us?
To be honest, seems like both.
I'm curious to see what the rest of the Endales might think about this.
It definitely seems to be a divide. And it seems to be a generational one.
Yeah. Celeste and Diz, you guys can make intelligence checks about the Endales right now.
Fuck's an Endale.
You rolling like me?
No.
Alright, so Diz, I mean, you're not as familiar with the Endales as you are other, groups in the city. You know that they're important, and you know that they, you think that they're like on top right now, maybe, but that's about as far as you get. Celeste, you're thinking about it, and you remember not only are the Endales in positions of authority right now, but Montgomery Endale is the current High Guardian of the city.
And is that her father or grandfather?
That's her grandfather. That's how you knew her.
And in that meeting, she was saying her grandfather was, well,
In the pocket.
in the pocket of the Great Western, is that correct?
Yes, the Great Western has expanded in power and influence in the city. I mean, everyone knows that. But the Great Western also operates in mercantile and shipping, which so do the Devars.
So he's not necessarily so I understand, and maybe I don't know, but are the Devars, like, if there's a hierarchy in the system, is it the Great Western and then they work within that and are in shipping, or would they be like direct competitions with each other?
So before the Great Western came in, all shipping went through the Devars, and the Devars still own the port. The Devars still control the port completely, where the Endales controlled the land route over the bridge. And so that's how they all make their money. So when you pay to go over the bridge, you're paying an Endale. And when you pay the port tax when you bring your ship into port, you're paying the Devars. So,
And then the Great Western has seemed to try to, like, rein in both of them?
well, the Great Western brings in a lot more shipping, which is good for port tax, but they've also cut out a bunch of the traditional Authandis-based traders from their routes.
Okay. So like I'm thinking about this stuff, and I kind of start talking out loud, the way I do. Think out loud, and I'm like, do you think our new friend, Gamon, is going to reach out to the Invuls as well? The other clan? He's trying to find just any allies within the city to cause disruption. Maybe we just stumbled upon someone.
I couldn't get a read on that Endale woman. She seemed like there was something else bothering her besides the fact that we were there.
So this
Where is
meeting
she
had both
from?
Indels and Devars in it? Is that right? Or am
Yeah.
I getting them confused?
Yeah, Gamon was a Devar, the Port family, and Leslane is an Indale, the Bridge family.
Okay.
I was sort of thinking it was strange that a Divar would have a moral compass at all. Thinking he'd want to do something good to undermine the Great Western and the city, but if he's got himself aligned with the REE, then from what yous are all saying, he might just be looking for different market to line his pockets.
Where does Leslane lie in the hierarchy of Endels?
You're not sure?
Could I roll to see if I know?
I ask
at all?
my friends.
So, as far as Celeste knows, I mean, it's theoretically kind of an oligarchic democracy, but in practice, they usually handpick who's going to succeed who, and each the high guardianship goes back and forth between each family. So. Right now, it's an Endale who has it, but as soon as he relinquishes his term, as soon as his term is over, it will go to a Devar. But she's, with her blood and her grandfather being who he is, she could easily become High Guardian herself one day if she had that ambition.
Was it interesting that it was only the women and a younger generation in this meeting? Like, is that something I would note or mean anything to you?
I mean, the older generation is pretty happy with the way things have gone. They've all gotten rich.
So is there any reason to think that the younger generation would be unhappy? I mean, except for maybe Desiree right. Maybe it is a moral compass? I say very skeptically.
I think they're upset that the Great Western's muscling in on their territory and they're looking for anybody who's going to help them get it kicked out. Doesn't matter if they accidentally install a new one in its place.
It feels a little bit like that's what's happening.
John, when I lost Jeremy.
Oh, man.
John, would I know if the REE deals in the slave trade, and then B, would I know that if the Great Western has done what they were claiming about, like basically making it a town into an outpost? Have they done that before? Would I know either of those two things?
Would the Great Western making something an outpost?
Yes.
Okay. Make a history check.
Ooh. 20.
Nice.
Excellent. So you would know something about that. You know that. So first of all, so the first question was.
Does the RE deal with slaves?
So the RE deals in all trade that's outside of the borders and deals with the Western continent. So if it's, why does someone watch stream? What is that?
Oh, trying to find a way to get on the screen.
Okay.
Here we
There we go.
Hey, buddy.
Hi.
So to try to finally get to your question, there's no way they wouldn't be involved in some way, shape, or form if were slaves in Eldmore that didn't originate from a market on that continent. You know there are slaves in Eldmore. So, I mean, it would stand to reason that they do deal in slaves in some way, shape, or form. Whether or not they have direct slave vessels, or how they get, whether they use middlemen, or whether or not they actually capture slaves themselves, you have no idea.
Yeah. What about the outposting?
You know for a fact that not only has the Great Western done this before, Dalevyre has done this before. I mean, Dalevyre's great trick that it pulls every chance it gets is to become vital to a city, and before you know it, they actually run the entire city without ever having put in a soldier on a street. I mean, Dalevyre eats you from the inside out.
Well, I'll tell the companions. I don't really think that the REE is necessarily morally superior to the Great Western. And I understand what they mean about Dalevyre spreading. I also think that the RE could be trying to do the same thing here for the first time. Like they seem like they might be trying to do kind of what the Great Western is for Althandis, but for Elmore. So I mean,
Worried about as well.
so yeah, either group we work for, we might be causing more harm.
Diz, you said you felt like Leslie was bothered in the meeting?
I think she hasn't made her mind up about whether or not she's going to sell out her country yet.
Maybe we talk to her. I feel like we need more information. 'Cause currently, I feel a little bit like we're just randomly picking a devil. And we don't know either one.
Good wishes, Celeste.
Slow, like the slow turn to Bast, you know.
I mean, I got into this whole thing to get Werebright's son out. They're both shitty. So whichever one's going to pay us more, that's my vote.
You are in it for the money, right? So, there are two options, and it's a dangerous game. You're in it for the money. One, we have a group that has clearly said they will outpay whatever the other one is paying. Two, we go to the other one and give them that information, see if they match. But the more we play them against each other, I think the more likely we're going to be tossed out like a mercenary group that is very replaceable.
Why are you doing this, Celeste?
Question. Maybe I don't have a good reason. Maybe I'm bored.
Dangerous game to be playing because you're bored.
Dangerous game, no matter what your reasoning. All right, we want to go talk to Leslie, or we calling it a night at 1 p.m.
We might want to give her a chance to simmer a bit, because if she makes up her mind, we'll get more useful information out of her than if we go talk to her right now.
I'd agree.
She's still thinking about it.
I also feel like she felt ambushed by us. I think if we track her down right now, she's going to feel even more so.
True, but if she makes up her mind to support the Great Western, like her grandfather, and we show up asking questions about potentially betraying them, that might be a little dangerous.
Do you think that she has more loyalty to the Great Western than she does enmity for the Devars?
I think that's a question.
Could be a tack we use.
You also know, all of you, that she would live in the Paragon. So, if she's going home, that's probably where she's headed. Actually? Oh, interesting. Diz, I want you to make an intelligence check.
Gonna do great.
16?
Ah!
You actually realize that you've heard of her before. And...
Because she does magic tricks?
No, because she has a ship.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do I know the name of the ship?
You do, actually. Yeah, it's the White Wind.
Do I know if she is only like the what do I want to say, like the funder, donor, or does she actually like give command on it?
So you do know, that's the whole reason you know about her, is because in sailor circles, she is kind of a topic that comes up sometimes, because not only does she have a ship, which she's an Indale, they aren't sailors, but she goes out with her ship. She captains her own ship, and she's sailed extensively around the Sea of Tears, and some even say beyond it.
Well,
Do I know what kind of activities she gets up to upon her ship?
No. I'm gonna make you make another check. I'm sorry, but
Intelligence?
yeah,
Not good.
Yeah.
Not as good.
you don't know.
Wait. Leslane. Endale. He's got the White Wind. We might have a little bit more in common than I thought we did. If we can't find her at her home, we might be able to find her at mine.
interesting.
Hmm.
And John, is it unusual for an aristocratic lady of her stature to have like a
Completely. It's
Okay.
bizarre. Like,
Not only that, though, her family doesn't control the ports.
right? Families
Yeah.
control the Brit.
this is like gosh, what am I thinking of? It'd be like if someone in a seafaring culture, gets into trading camels. You know
So
what I mean?
she's maybe acting out. Okay.
I mean, the Devars are the ones who own ships, and usually own parts of ships, and sometimes they go out, but like at this point, both families of the clans are really well established, and they're just aristocratic. Most of them don't do anything. They own shares in ships. In fact, like when Devars get to a certain age, you inherit shares, in shipping concerns.
I feel like maybe she is who we want to talk to. Seems like she's not necessarily only loyal to her family. Have you worked with her before, Days? Or you just know of this?
Oh, she's a little bit infamous in my kind of circles. wouldn't necessarily I say I work with anybody in her station. To be honest, I'm trying to remember if I've stolen from her before.
Right. Fair enough.
It's more than I got in common with the rest of the Endale, as far as I know, though. So,
If her ship is successful, or if it's just like a, how should I put it lightly, a brat's hobby.
she keeps coming back off it, and it doesn't have a lot of holes on the side of it, so I'd have to say she's successful.
Fair enough.
All right. I want Y to make a perception check.
Would love to. Natural 20. So that is a 21.
Perfect. Okay, so you guys are walking, having this conversation. Most of you are just engrossed, and Y has been reserved this entire day. You light up your cigar, and as you light it and you turn and look, you kind of just casually casting your glance up and down the street, and for some reason you just stop at this alley between two otherwise completely normal buildings, and there's a person standing in the alleyway, and something about their posture makes you stop. You turn and look, and the person does like this, and there's a flash of white hair, like blonde hair, into a cowl, and they turn, and you just go, "That's Leslie." You just know it. Like, you see that, you just get this flash in your mind, and you're just like, "That's Leslie." And as soon as she saw you looking in her direction, she turned, put her hair back into her cowl, and turned and looked down the alley.
I will follow.
Her.
I will follow, and if I'm a few feet ahead and they haven't noticed yet, I'll make a.
Yeah. So Wyatt just starts walking away from you. Like he's kind of like in the back. You guys turn and look, and Wyatt's just like walking to the left, towards like a row of buildings on the side of the street.
I'm gonna use
So you found a loose somewhere else, then?
Come here.
I'm gonna use my cantrip of message, and it's gonna go in Wyatt's head, which I don't know is gonna go super well. But I'm gonna be like, "Where are we going?"
What components does that have?
Oh,
Verbal and somatic.
God damn it! No, just keep going. Fuck it.
I'm gonna turn off.
Anyway.
I'm gonna turn off and kind of look like I forgot where I was going for a second and be like, "Oh right, like of course Wyatt knows where we're going," and then follow him that way.
Okay.
Does Sebastian follow us?
Sure.
Then as we're both walking in that direction, not that you're not spoiled for choice here, but I got an interesting business proposition for you. Remind me to talk to you about it later. And then I will follow Wyatt.
Okay. So you come up behind her, Wyatt, and she didn't leave. She's just like in the alley, kind of like leaning, looking the opposite direction. There's like another street behind this one that she's looking towards, but she's still pretty far away from it. She's just kind of like leaning, standing there. You can see her frame. She is wearing this like kind of like large cloak with the cowl pulled up. You come up behind her. The rest of you, it just looks like Wyatt's approaching this, probably a female figure in a large cloak.
Because of my adept watching other people deal secretively better than me, I'm gonna like almost touch her on the shoulder and then just like nope, and I'll get out one of my books and I'll just walk past her, like where she's looking, and then just like lean against the wall next to her and act just like casually, but like very stiffly, like this in his head, like this is what other people would do to not look suspicious, but it probably looks very suspicious.
Yeah, I mean, so Number one, it's ridiculous to all of you watching him do this because he literally it's a narrow alley, so he has to like squeeze
Run
by
past
her,
her.
I love it.
and then
Even
turn
better.
towards her, and then get his little book out and like look at her, and then look back at the little book, look at her, look back at the little book. And
If he looks at the mouth of the alley, this is what I'm doing.
yeah, you still can't see her. So she looks at you in the face. You don't look at her. You keep pretending to look at the book, and then she just goes, and she pulls the hood down, and she goes, "What are you doing?"
Oh, I see.
I'm gonna pull my hood up further. Oh shit.
Apologize. I thought you motioned to me, and I thought this was going to be like a secret. No, okay, sorry. And I'll just put the book away.
No, I was
Um,
trying not to be noticed, which that worked out really well.
All right. Well, my okay. Mm,
You don't seem like you're very good at this. Do you want me to just?
I'm really not. Do you want me to leave? I can leave.
We're already here. We might as well have a conversation.
That's great. All of you are here. That's just great. Let's not have a
Ms.
conversation here.
I would agree.
Ms. Endale, actually, we were looking to have a conversation with you maybe later on when you were in a bit better spirits. You seemed a little ruffled leaving that meeting, so we hate to bother you while you're up to your own personal business. And then I just kind of like glare at Wyatt.
Oh god.
She gives you a smile, and she just says, "Yeah, I'm okay to talk now. Do you mind following me?"
I just nod.
Yep.
So she continues down the alley
Can I
towards where
insight
she's
check
facing.
whether or not I feel like she's gonna take us somewhere and kill us?
Sure, bud. In fact, why don't you just ask me that with every NPC from now on? Because that would fit your character a little better.
If you hadn't tried to kill me with one of 3 people,
Also, you should probably
fuck
not
you,
even.
buddy.
You probably should not bother rolling. You know that's what's happening.
18.
You don't get any sort of ulterior motive from her, or at least not a sinister one. Doesn't seem to be any sort of a, oh, follow me. Nothing like that.
Me.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
She seems honest and sincere in her demeanor. So, alright, so she leads you guys through the alley to the street she was facing when Wyatt stepped in front of her, and very quickly is headed towards the docks. Takes you about 10-15 minutes, and you go and you realize you're at the Great Western part of the docks. Like, the Devar owned docks are still another 10-minute walk around the north side of the dock itself, and she leads you down it and then walks down this long dock this long row of docks that are there's a ton of cargo all piled up, and she just kind of casually walks around beside of it, and then there at the end of it there's a beautiful ship, a large but not too large. It's still very sleek in its design. Looks in perfect condition. Diz, you just start professionally casting your eye up and down it and just being like, it's beautiful. And she just strides right up the plank onto it, and she turns and just beckons you all to follow.
Kind of do a little sweeping, like, thank you to the ship before I step my salty, muddy boots all over her.
So when we're going up, I kind of turn to Diz and I'm like, out of curiosity, does this seem like a real ship, or like he buys books just to display but has never actually read them?
Things faster than any other ship. Probably on the whole sea. If I had to guess.
Yeah, everything in you is like, this is a racehorse.
I love her.
All right, so she goes on. There are a few guys who are there working now. She just kind of nods to them. They nod back at her. No big fuss about it. She takes you down below deck. walks, turns to the left, walks a little bit, opens a door into a rather spacious captain's quarters. You guys all come in. She motions for the last one in to close the door. There's a desk that's built into the ship itself. She goes around it, sits down. She puts her feet up on the desk, crosses her boots, and then she says, "Okay, so I'm so sorry. Please have a seat, or whatever's around." Did they take the chair? They took the chairs out. I guess they're. It doesn't matter. Just can hopefully you guys can just be honest with me, and I don't know what's going on. Wasn't that weird?
I can be
Is this
incredibly honest with you. That was weird.
Is this an act?
Make an insight check.
Which part?
I'm just looking around at the expensive boat.
Yeah, I mean it's like a mechanic.
Lady, I'll tell you anything.
It's like you're a mechanic, and I just said, "Hey, come into my Lotus." You know what I mean? It's like you're in a work of art. So she looks at Celeste and says, "Thank you. I'm glad it wasn't just me. That was a really strange conversation. I mean, I suppose it's always going to be strange with the topic of that conversation."
Is that the first time you've met with, what was that lovely gentleman's name? Ray?
Gammon.
Oh.
With Bray, yes. With Gammon, I mean, of course I've seen Gammon out in society.
Obviously.
We've talked. So do you really work for the Great Western?
Do they pay us? Yes.
Okay.
Work for?
That's weird. I mean, I guess it's not weird. People need work, right?
I owed,
Great Western pays well.
I can't speak for my companions, but I owed one employee of the Great Western a bit of a debt, and I had to go through his employer to pay it after his demise.
Sorry to hear that.
It's more accurate to say that we're independent contractors.
It's probably more accurate to say that to me anyway.
So, you're independent contractors, but you started working for them to pay off a debt? Now, is that just true for you, or is that true of all of you?
I met these people a week ago.
True. I actually started working for them to help pay off someone else's debt.
Yeah.
Our mutual friend's family.
Huh.
Turns out, Great Western's not very forgiving of its debt.
No. They're business people.
And up until 15 minutes ago, maybe 5 minutes ago, I would have said the same of your family. But you see, maybe a little different.
No, you're right. My family are all business.
And you?
Me? Oh, I'm the weird one.
How old is this woman?
She is not a waif. She's not young. She's not old. She's got one of those kind of like it's not a delicate face. I mean, she has a jaw and she has lines on her face. She's got some weathering around the eyes. I mean, especially if she's been out on the ocean and in the sun. I mean, sea spray, all that stuff. It does, wear. She could be an old 28 or a young 35. Okay. Well, at least you're telling me something more about yourselves than than what they did. And I know, honestly, kind of what their motivations are. And my problem is, it doesn't seem like there's anyone in this city who cares about this city, who actually wants to do things to make things better. Everyone has an ulterior motive, as you've mentioned before. When all I want to do is make things more fair here.
My interest. When you say that, like, skepticism? Just you come from a family that already has so much.
You're right. I mean, why would I have any motivation to not want things to stay the way they are? And there is part of me that wants my family to do well and to continue to be comfortable. But at what cost? And there is a cost that's too high. And besides, even though my grandfather would disagree, we have enough.
Your father?
All my father cares about is too much. But there are things that are happening that are much, much worse than trading deals and another man buying more jewelry for himself.
Like
Do I know?
what?
So you say like what? Like the core trade.
Do I know what that is?
No.
I'm wrapped. I immediately just snapped out of like admiring some kind of like seam work on the wall.
Yeah.
I'm unfamiliar with that.
No, you're not.
Oh yeah? Look at Diz.
I don't know what happens on your side of the world, but pretty popular in this one. It's actually what I was going to talk to you about earlier.
I don't.
What do you know about the core trade?
Well, I know quite a bit about it because, let's just say, I like to do what I can to help out directly sometimes.
In which direction?
If I can ground a vessel that has a lot of people who are being held against their will and see them swim safely ashore and make sure that ship can't carry anyone else, then I consider that to be a pretty good day.
Is that why you have
Like
a ship?
very visibly relax.
Do I believe her?
Make an insight check. Which, the name of this session is going to be called Make an Insight Check or Make a Intelligence Check.
I would like to
14.
reroll my character. My wisdom.
What
14.
14? There's nothing about her that seems to show hesitation or she's not looking off to the side when she's speaking. She seems to be honest. At least she believes what she's saying.
And the Royal Exchange, their relationship with core trade?
You know, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming I assume that all of the eastern lands use slaves.
Is that true or false, or do I know?
You wouldn't know.
Fair.
I mean, you can make a history check.
I don't care.
Yeah,
Or Sebastian doesn't care.
that's right. But how many of them operate in these waters? I mean, if there is a big ship out there in the Sea of Tears, it's owned by the Great Western. there are a few that I've seen that I didn't know whose they were. But just about every ship I've ever seen out here that could do something like that is owned by the Great Western.
How does your grandfather feel about this venture?
Trade's trade.
Mrs.
Not that
Endale,
venture, but- sorry. Not that venture,
Miss-
but your. You go. Go.
no, go ahead.
Not that venture, but you're speaking of grounding ships.
Oh, he obviously doesn't know anything about that.
Mrs. Endale, I am. Forgive me for being too forward, but I am about to do it anyway. How does Master Devar feel about that venture of yours?
He doesn't know either.
You sure?
Are you talking about Gammon?
Remember his name?
Gammon means well. I actually think that he does want to help the city. However, he's convinced that helping the REE is the best way to do it. He thinks that there's no way anyone can take on the Great Western by themselves. And maybe he's right. You look like you're a seaworthy lass. Am I right? Yeah.
Sweep my hat off.
Have you seen their warships?
Of course I have.
I mean, I love this girl. I love her with the bottom of my heart. And she like rubs like her chair that's like, you know, sitting behind the desk. And she says, "But up against one of those monsters? Up against 5 of them? I mean, if they wanted to, the Great Western could sail warships up into Greatport and blow it to pieces. And there's nothing we could do about it. Our ridiculous excuse for a navy is essentially just a few Devar trading vessels with some cannons strapped to their sides so that a bunch of drunk young men can brag down at the bar.
Gamon represents the liberal element of this equation, whereas Leslane is revolutionary.
I'm going to have Jeremy write a political summary of every episode from here on out.
So we have Leslane on like the progressive end of the spectrum, and then like Gimondevar somewhere in the neoliberal section.
That's right.
He thinks reform's gonna work, but
You can just vote it out.
yeah, just vote it out. It's worked really well here.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Hell.
Guys, want to be in a fantasy world, not live
Yeah.
real life right now?
sorry.
Democracy works and it's fine.
The revolutionary element exists in fantasy and non-fantasy.
True. Fiction is the lies in which we tell the truth.
We must organize the militant minority.
Why we'll look at Leslie and ask him, well then what do you suggest that we do to help this actual city? I mean, if one clearly has a stronghold, the other one looks to maybe get a stronghold over it. That doesn't really help the people of the city. What do you suggest? I mean, do you need help grounding slave ships? Because I'm down for that. Otherwise, I don't really know what else to do to help you out.
Well, that's interesting that you said that. Now we'll talk about that later. But that's the
Right.
problem. Is I'm one person, and yes, I have a ship. Yes, I have my name and I have wealth, but that's nothing compared to the Great Western. It's nothing compared to the entrenched old men who run the city currently, and it's nothing compared to the Great Western said they could bring troops in. What does that mean? So If I knew the answer to that, I'd already be doing it. But what I do know is that things can't continue, and I can't do nothing. There are some people in the Sea of Tears who would like to see the Great Western go. And they also don't seem to be vested in some other foreign power. And that's a good place to start for me.
And who are they?
Well, I mean, I guess a lot of people would just call them pirates. But, do you know Lyris?
Do I know Lyris?
Lyris is like... Do you know what Tortuga was in the Caribbean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that in the Sea of Tears. It's a place where tribal people, pirates, like renegade elves, like anyone, like if you're running away from something, I mean, it's like that. It's anything goes. You can be stabbed in the street. You can steal anything you want. You can. I mean, there's no rules, no nothing. But it's on a peninsula that juts out into the sea. You know, right in the middle of the Sea of Tears, and so, you know, yeah, that's Lyris.
I wish I could apologize a bit more for admitting it in polite company, but I'm very familiar with Lyris, a lady.
Okay. We should probably drink some rum and talk sometime. But Lyris, there are some people who are not just wild animals, like the stories you hear in most of Althanas. There are people who know what's going on and who have seen the changes, and some of them are fighting it just as much as they are trying to get rich off of it. But, you know, Lyris is unreliable and chaotic. So, and I don't know. I mean, there are. Who knows what who knows what the elves would want? It's hard to talk to them, but some of the elven tribes that I've talked to have been incredibly interested in change. So it's hard to say.
What elven tribes have you talked to?
Well, the main tribe, of course, is Lacentalia, and most of the elves that I meet are from Evandira, Evandira is theoretically a part of the Lacentalian tribe, and I don't really understand how they work. There seem to be a lot of rules in elven tribes that aren't in orc tribes, but they're all a part of the same family, and so those are the ones that I've had the most dealings with, and the Lacentalians are very suspicious of the outside world, but they're also committed to something being different, especially since there seems to be an appetite for elven slaves as well as orcs. So.
You're a woman in a position of authority. Sometimes all they need is a stronger voice to bring an order to chaos.
I guess that's true. There are a lot of people there who say politely that they're old-fashioned, and they don't really want someone that looks like me telling them what to do. Now, if I blew a hole in... Well, it's true. But, I don't know. I mean, I can't just go to Lyris and stay there and try to change things from there. That's crazy.
Sure.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. What do you know though? I mean, what is the Great Western got you doing, or what are they? I mean, did you know you're working for people that are this involved in slavery?
Something more and more evident.
I'm not saying that. I mean, most people know, or if they do know, they don't care. I mean, it's just a part of life, right?
As I said, I was trying to repay a debt.
Look, I can't. You seem like nice people. Well, you seem like useful people. I don't know what you're in this for, really. I don't know why you are doing what you're doing. You've only known each other for a short time, is what you've said, and most of you came together out of debt or helping someone's debt. And in a strange way, I don't want you to be in mine, right? I don't want you to just be in my debt. But if you are looking for work, and if you are trying to decide what you're going to do, maybe you could just help me.
I'm not opposed to that, but it's an interesting choice to say you don't want us to be in your debt. That sounds we're gainfully employed to you. So that is debt.
I'm never going to be able to pay you what the Great Western or what these Eldmoorish people can. So you'd be doing this mainly because you believed in what I believe.
And maybe I could sleep it.
That's the debt I meant.
What would helping you entail?
Well, the first thing is that there's a man I have to kill. And that's where
Who
we're
might
going
that be?
tonight.
God damn it, Jen! You could tell he was just waiting for it. He's like, I got this line, we're just gonna drop it in there.
I gotta see a man about a thing.
How did she react when I said Mrs. Endale?
Kind of, she took it in stride.
Retroactive perception check?
I'll just say that she didn't bat an eyelash.
She wearing a ring?
No. She probably gets called all kinds of things, and people don't know how to address her or what honorific to use, or most people sure as hell don't say "Yo, Les Lane," like. So, all right. I hope you guys had fun. I thought that was interesting. I know it was a plot-heavy, role-play-heavy game, and I promise I'm going to let you kill something soon. Very, 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 very soon.
And then you're just gonna ask me what my spell components are.
I don't know, man.
Things
We'll
like
see. We'll see. So, let's do the three things, and then we can cut Jeremy loose. So, who would like to go first?
That thing Celeste said was pretty fucked up.
You mean your favorite thing?
That was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Was it your favorite moment, or favorite role play moment, or favorite thing someone else did?
Let's say favorite thing someone else and favorite roleplay moment.
Okay.
Favorite moment, favorite thing someone else did, favorite roleplay. I guess favorite roleplay was banter back and forth with Mira.
That was
Felt
awesome.
like I felt backed into a corner there, and I was glad that I found some sort of like equilibrium there. I did not think I was gonna find any sort of balance. And I thought she was just gonna railroad me. So that was difficult.
So my favorite thing that happened is to feel like there's maybe an out that's not just all evil all the time. Pretty excited about that. My favorite role play moment was when Y said, when I was like conked out on him, and he was like, carry her with kindness and courtesy. It was just this like such a beautiful, innocent, like his moment, like just the essence of him was just beautiful. And then my favorite thing someone else did was two things really. One was forgive me for being too forward, but I'm going to be. Awesome. And then your face when she said some people call them pirates, and you were like,
Oh my god, she knows me! She knows who I am! Do you think she likes me?
yeah, you're like, that was
God, hey!
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of my favorite roleplay moments, how much Diz went from like acting dumb and like all to immediately flirting with this girl like very, very quickly. Well, like that was two separate encounters, but even like on the ship, it was like her talking about the slave trade and then switching to, you know, like if that answer was very different, like I wouldn't be surprised if Diz swung at her, you know, and then by the end of it, she's, you know, fawning. So I think that was pretty adorable. That was my favorite roleplay. I think my favorite part of the entire game was knowing I'm about to do a bad Irish accent and I literally muted myself and was practicing before I started because I knew it was gonna be bad.
Awesome.
it was pretty good is the worst part.
Yeah.
It was okay. It was okay. That was really funny that no one else knew, but it was like covering my mouth and I was like doing Irish accent shit, trying to get that not shitty, and then rolled a 3, so it was like, okay, come on. And then I think my favorite thing someone else did was either Celeste like badass line or like Bass chugging the wine that could have been poisoned. That was real good. That was real good. And then also Bass skull line to come on, because I was like, yes, someone needed to say it, and that was just
Let's go.
just pissing Gaman off just made my night a lot better.
That was good.
Yeah.
Poor little guy.
Diz's favorite thing that happened is Wyatt pissing Gaman off as we were leaving.
I was trying to make it better. It's like that's all of Wyatt's life is trying and failing.
And then I feel like all of Diz's life is like trying to be like really buddy with Wyatt, but it always comes out so like underhanded. Like it always comes off as like such a backhanded compliment, and she's like, I don't know what to do.
I really thought I was being sneaky when I was talking to Miss Indale down the. I literally thought I was like, this is a good idea. Go Wyatt, and then being like, this is the dumbest thing.
My favorite thing that someone else did is actually Mavish, like with Celeste, like over his shoulder, looking back and like having like the bro moment with Wyatt, being like, "Oh, she's really good, isn't she?" Oh no.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my favorite roleplay moment of the night. I just thought that was really endearing. Mavish Stan.
Mavish was awesome.